Hello, my name's Jessica, and today I would like to tell you the history of a symbol of celebration, communion and culture, wine. A liquid story that flows through the ages, connecting us with our ancestors. In 2022, 258 million hectolitres of wine have been produced worldwide, while wine consumption was estimated to the amount of 232 million hectolitres. The United States consumes the largest volume of wine of any country at 34 million hectolitres. And 25.3 million hectolitres, France is the second leading consumer of wine. Such figures definitely need a special broadcast. Welcome to Food History Pills. There's no doubt that France, Italy and Spain are synonymous with winemaking and wine culture. However, the history of wine doesn't begin in France, or Italy, or Spain. Archaeological records indicate that wine was first produced in China around 7000 BC, followed by Armenia and Georgia around 6100 to 6000 BC respectively. Furthermore, researchers discovered that the world's oldest winery in Armenia. And there is also evidence of early winemaking in ancient Iran, Egypt, Israel, Greece, Cyprus and Sicily. Clearly, there's much more to wine than we may have thought. The world's first chemically confirmed alcoholic beverage, including wine, was discovered at Jiahu in the Henan province of China. The clay jars from this early Neolithic period were used to create and store a fermented drink made of wild grapes. It hasn't been confirmed whether these grapes were used by themselves or in combinations with other fruits. Whatever the case, evidence suggests that these alcoholic beverages were used in burial and religious ceremonies. In 2016, a group of researchers uncovered the oldest winery in the world in a cave located in the mountains of Armenia. Among the discoveries in this cave, dating back to 6100 BCE, there's a drinking bowl and cup, grape press and fermentation jars. So while winemaking starts in China, the discovery is the earliest example of complete wine production. Experts say that the wine from Armenia was likely used for burial ceremonies, since that particular cave was once a significant cemetery site. Around 3100 BCE, Egyptians began making an early version of wine from red grapes and stored it in an amphoras, which are clay jars with a narrow neck and two handles. Because red wine resembled the blood, ancient Egyptians had many superstitions about its power, including its link to the blood of Osiris, the god of resurrection. Although wine was the most common type of wine produced in this region, amphoras discovered in Tutankhamun's tomb first show the evidence of white wine in Egypt. The Phoenicians are responsible for starting wine trade, moving this increasingly popular beverage, and even grapevines themselves, across the Mediterranean, including Greece, Italy and all areas of modern-day Turkey, Lebanon, Israel and Syria. During their travels, the Phoenicians came into contact with Jewish people who began using wine as part of religious ceremonies. In the Bible, the first mention of wine appears in the book of Genesis, when Noah drinks it after the Great Flood. Around 800 BCE, the ancient Greeks began drinking wine and using it as a symbol for religion, trade and health. Wine was so beloved in ancient Greece that they named their god after it, Dionysus. Wicker baskets were filled with harvested grapes, then crushed before placing them in a pithoi, large earthenware jars similar to the Egyptian amphoras. These jars were where fermentation took place. As the Greek city-states began to spread throughout the Mediterranean, so did wine production. They introduced the Vitis vinifera wine grape to the newly colonised areas, including Sicily, before eventually making their way to Rome. The Romans fine-tuned the Greeks' process of viniculture, using barrels and other techniques that helped them produce at a quicker pace and a lower cost. For example, Roman wine production included using a torculum, a sort of grape press, to crush the fruit and separate the juice with the skins from a colander-like object. The juice was sometimes boiled before fermenting it in the amphoras that were buried in the sand, dirt, or even water. Wine was a daily part of life for Romans, so it was easily accessible to the rich or poor alike. As the Roman Empire grew across Europe, they planted grapevines in European countries, including modern-day France, Italy, Spain, Germany, and Portugal. Beginning with the reign of Constantine, the grape wine took a prominent place in religious rituals, specifically during the Christian sacrament of Eucharist, also known as the communion, with the wine symbolising the blood of Jesus. As Rome fell, the church preserved viticulture. Monasteries became the centres of winemaking expertise, nurturing the vine through the medieval period. Then, in the 16th century, transatlantic trips saw the Spanish conquistadors invading Mexico and Brazil, bringing with them the European grape cultivation. During this time, wine production spread wildly across South America. In the late 18th century, Spanish missionary Juniper Serra travelled down to San Diego, California, where he established the state's first mission, a known vineyard. As the friar and his fellow monks developed the missions up and down the state, they continued to plant the mission grape, a variation of Vitis vinifera from Spain. In the early 19th century, Scottish-born, British-raised and Australian-based viniculturist and writer James Bugsby triggered the dawn of a new era for wine, growing it in the geographic region of Oceania. After much research and cross-continental travel between Australia and Europe, he took grapevine cuttings from Europe and planted them in vineyards in Australia. Eventually, he took some cuttings from Australia to New Zealand, and in 1836 he established New Zealand's first vineyard. The 19th century saw triumph and tragedy. The phylloxera louse devastated vineyards, but also led to innovation and the blending of old and new world practices. We'll conclude our walk through history of wine, where we started, in China. As the Chinese economy started to boom in the late 1980s, the nation grew into one of the world's largest consumers and producers of wine. While rice wine remains the most popular alcoholic beverage in the country, harkening back to its ancient roots, grape wine has grown as a status and preference. Today, wine continues to evolve. Sustainability, technology, and a return to traditional methods shape modern vineyards. While tourism and education bring enthusiasts closer to the source, the future of wine is a blend of tradition and innovation, and it's clear that it's here to stay. In fact, the only continent on the planet where vineyards do not exist is Antarctica. From biodynamic farming to virtual tastings, the world of wine continues to enchant and inspire. There you have it, it's over. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay always updated with our content here on History Food Channel. And remember, eating is a privilege. Enjoy it. Bye.